The machines behind me are part of Singer's Vibrating Shuttle family, but did you know there's a right way and a wrong way for threading these machines? I'm Ollie, this is Simply Stitchy, and in today's video I'll be taking you step by step through the right way of getting one of these machines up and running. The great thing about the Vibrating Shuttle family is they're all pretty much the same. It doesn't really matter whether you've got a 128, a 28 or a 27. So whichever machine you have or whichever model you have, you'll be able to follow this tutorial to get your machine working. The machine that we're going to be threading today is this one. This is a Singer 128. The first thing you need to do when you're getting your sewing machine ready to sew is wind the bobbin. And the reason why we always do the bobbin first is because it uses the same thread path as the needle up to a point, and if you do the needle first you'll have to unthread it back up to here to do your bobbin. So always do your bobbin first. Now I'm just going to get this presser bar out of the way for a moment. A lot of videos that I've seen on YouTube just recently have been asking you to thread the machine around this part here. You really don't want to be doing that, because what this is your pressure adjuster for your presser foot, and by adjusting this it makes the pressure that pushes down on the foot lighter or heavier depending on the fabric that you're sewing. But the problem is if you wind the thread around that, as you're sewing, you see what's happening to the presser bar where your presser foot's attached? It's going to go up and down, and it's going to catch on that thread and it's going to screw up your tension. You really don't want to be putting your thread around that. There is another part of this sewing machine that you really don't want to be trying to thread yet, and that's this bit. This bit is actually the take-up lever, and as you work the sewing machine you'll see it goes up and down, and it literally takes up the thread as you're sewing. It's not a part of the machine that you need to thread when you're winding your bobbin. What you're actually looking for is this. In the manual they call this an eyelet, but it's more like a little notch really, and that is the first thread guide that you want to put your thread through. Before you start winding your bobbin, what you need to do is this little silver disc here is your stop motion screw or your clutch, and you need to turn that to the left. And the reason why you do that is because turning it to the left disengages the needle, so it'll stop the needle going up and down when you turn the hand crank. I just turn it back to the right for a minute. Make sure that that is turned to the left. This is the bobbin winder, and it has a movable part on this side which makes it easier to get the long bobbin in the actual mount, and this side is fixed. The next thing that you want to do is get this little arm over towards the right hand side of the bobbin winder, and to do that push the bobbin winder so that it meets this little groove. Turn the hand crank until it reaches the right hand side. There are two ways of loading this bobbin into this bobbin winder. Pop the bobbin in the mount first. This bit pulls out and you just literally slide it in like that, and then grab the thread, and all you need to do is with the end pull that back that way and just jam it between the bobbin and the mount. The other way is loosely wrap the thread a couple of times around the bobbin and then put the end of the thread across the top. Hold it there with your finger, put the ends with the thread across the top in this side of the mount. Sorry, my hands are going to be in the way now. And then just manoeuvre it into the bobbin mount like that, and that temporarily holds the thread on the bobbin while you're popping it into the actual bobbin winder. Both of those ways are fiddly. Use the one that works best for you. When you've got the thread secured on the bobbin, pop it in the thread guide at the top, and there's another little thread guide just here, just above that screw right there. And what you want to be doing is you want to be clicking thread into that thread guide. When your bobbin's full or you've got enough thread on there that you need, just snip it, pull that, and just take the bobbin out. What you also need to remember to do is re-engage the needle by turning this stop motion screw to the right. You also need to disengage the bobbin winder by pulling it forwards. The next thing that we're going to want to do is obviously thread the top of the machine. And it's from this point that you'll see what I mean about why you do your bobbin first. But when you're threading the top of the machine, what you need to do is you need to bring the thread down from this thread guide to these tension discs here. Now this machine has automatic tension release, which means when the foot is down or lowered, there's tension on these discs, and when you raise the foot, it releases the tension. For this one, you need to make sure that your presser foot is up. You take your thread from the right hand side of the tension discs all the way around to the left hand side. Now this particular Singer 128 has got a little check spring just there. What you'll see happens is if you pull on the thread slightly, a little check spring will move. Now we can take the thread and thread it through the take-up lever. Some take-up levers have like a little notch that you can just slide the thread into, but this one doesn't, so you just thread it through the hole. Just here on the bottom of the faceplate there's another little thread guide, and that's what we need to go through next. Not all thread guides work the same way because this is Singer. Some you can click it into that thread guide like that, some you can click it in by pushing it that way, and others you actually need to thread it through there because you can't click it in there. So it really just depends on what machine you've got. Now when it comes to the needle, this machine differs a lot from modern sewing machines. Modern sewing machines tend to thread from front to back. This one and many of the machines of the same age don't. Some of them thread from left to right, which means towards the pillar, and others will thread from right to left. This particular machine, the 128, threads from left towards the pillar. And I know that because of this little thread guide here, and that's the next one that we need to put the thread through. This thread guide is on the left hand side of the needle, and what that's going to do is it's going to hold the thread to the left hand side of the machine, which means that your needle needs to be inserted into the machine with the flat side facing towards the pillar. And when you put the thread through the needle, it needs to go from left to right. There you go. We've threaded the top of the machine. We've loaded a bobbin with thread. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to load the bobbin into the machine. And the first thing that we need to do is actually get the bobbin into the shuttle. All you need to do is make sure that your bobbin has the thread coming off at the top towards the right, like that. And then you pop it inside the shuttle case. Pop. And then this thread, you see this little groove here, you need to pull that thread down to the bottom of the groove. And this is the part that gets most people confused, because what you need to do now is you need to pull that thread back up. And a lot of people think that it's going to go into a slot or something just down the bottom of the case, which it doesn't. There isn't anywhere for it to go. What you need to do is you need to put the thread in that little hole and then pop your thumb on top and just hold it there. And with your other hand you bring the thread up and slide it under this little spring part here. So it literally just lies across the top of the casing. It doesn't do anything else. That's it. That's done. That's the bobbin loaded. The next thing we need to do is we need to get the loaded shuttle into the machine, and that's just as simple as just dropping it in, pointy end first and then the fat end towards the top of the bobbin race like that. Now this little button here is quite handy because if you find for any reason that you want to take the bobbin and the shuttle back out, if you just push that, it lifts the end, the fat end up, so that you can grab it with your finger and just lift it. The next thing that we need to do is get the top thread and the bobbin thread on the top of the machine. At the minute, the bobbin thread is in the depths of the machine, if you like, and we need it to come up through a hole just below the presser foot, so it's at the top of the machine with the top thread. What you need to do is hold on to your top thread and with your hand wheel, or your hand crank should I say, just turn it as if you were going to sew, and you'll see that the bobbin thread has been pulled up to just underneath the presser foot. Once you've pulled the bobbin thread up, chop the excess off so it's not quite so long, and then you just pull both threads towards the back of the machine. Now when you do start sewing, it's particularly important on these older machines that you hold the threads for the first stitch or two. Now this machine and others like it don't have reverse, so if you need to do a back tack, what you're going to need to do is make sure your needle is out of the work, pull your presser foot up, go back to the start of your stitching and just sew over the top, and that'll do the back tack for you. Remember, to get this wheel to come towards you, you push the hand crank away from you.